What's good, Real Film? It's your boy Trey the Realist from Real Ass Conversations, and it's episode number 44. I got a good time friend here with me all the way from Missouri, my boy Justin. I'm going to pass it over to him, let him introduce himself.
Hey, I am Justin Aiden. I am from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and I am a realtor here in town. And I don't know, I am a single dad, and I like to party. No, I don't party ever. I'm not a partier. I don't have time to party, but I like to tell people I do.
Well, you used to be a
I guess it makes
partier.
me more approachable. But yeah, I did. I don't think I had any kids before when I knew you. So well, right at the end, I might have had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Funny story. The first week I met Justin. We worked in a restaurant together, and I'm learning the ins and outs and everything. And the first thing he did in front of all the managers was say he want to stick his dick in the prime rib. Do you remember that?
That's a good. I can't say that I do, but I also like I can definitely see me saying something like that. I imagine it was a very good prime rib.
It was it was
Juicy
a pretty
even.
good prime
I
rib.
would.
It's funny
Yeah, I
because
would
Chef
say.
Ray was behind you,
Yeah.
so one of our head directors was behind you, and you were
That
just
makes
like,
sense.
"Oh, hey."
Yeah, I always say the worst things in the worst possible moments when authority figures are around.
But I feel like also in the food and beverage industry, it's kind of like a lawless ground. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned real
Yeah,
quick, you got to be kind of like you got to be lighthearted. You got to be quick on your toes because like if you're not, the industry is going to tear you apart. And like I have
yeah.
like a sister who's in the industry as well, and she be telling me how she be going back and forth with the cooks and the servers, and I'm just like, that's how you get respect of a lot of times because it's a dog eat
It's
dog
it's
world.
it's very much. So I love like The Bear on Hulu and like shows like that because I think working in the restaurant industry, working as a server, bartender, whatever, it's very much like that locker room kind of mentality of like what we say in the kitchen stays in the kitchen, and it's the raunchiest, grossest, nastiest shit you'll ever fucking hear. And
Exactly. Yeah,
so
you
it's
could.
but it's
Uh,
I miss
what's that
it. I do
restaurant
miss
movie
it.
called?
Waiting,
Waiting, like
waiting
that
with
movie was
with
very
Ryan Reynolds.
accurate. Yeah, that
Yeah,
movie
it was
was very
spot on.
accurate to what it was.
Yeah,
And I remember when I was a
the
teenager
research.
watching it.
Yeah, the researchers for that movie were a-okay. They
Spot
did a
on.
good job. No,
So aren't
but
you?
I do. There are times that I miss the restaurant industry, but for the most part, it was a nightmare. you know, so
If
it was
anything, I miss
stressful.
you.
Here's my
If
boy.
anything, I miss
Good.
you
Hey, it's
guys.
bedtime. Yeah, I
I said,
appreciate
if anything, I miss you guys because like when I was in it, like I wasn't really making no money, but it was just like every night was kind of like a different story or a different experience. So it definitely, I feel like, opened me up into the
for
real world
sure.
when it comes to working and everything like that. But it's
Yeah,
just
because you
crazy to
were
see.
straight out of college and you were a college athlete, so you didn't. I mean, that was like a. It was definitely, I would imagine, it being an adjustment.
Oh, it definitely was, but I think it was a perfect thing to kind of get me adjusted to the real world. And it's crazy, like how far we done came from, like going from the restaurant to you being a real estate agent to me being a manager of a property management company. It's just to
Yeah,
me is like I just love to see the growth and the beauty of it because to me I feel like you're just like a totally different Justin than like what I knew before. So it's great to talk to you now.
it's well, it's been a few years, and I've had to do some dadding and parenting and growing up on my own, as well as just failing. I think the just failing at certain things that I wanted to do and growing and learning from those things kind of is just super humbling also. So yeah, man, it's been a ride. I think though that I always tell people whenever they're starting out, when the younger people, just try serving, enjoy it because it really kind of puts that hustle mentality into your mind of obviously you are on the management side of things, but as a server bartender when you're working for tips, you really you gotta cheese it up, and you gotta be, well, even if it's the manager side, you gotta be nice to people that don't deserve to be nice to. So you
Yeah.
gotta really kind of just not be fake. I'm not gonna say fake it to make it, but it is 100% almost a fake it to make it kind of mentality.
My ass was faking it to make it, yo.
Oh
I had to, I had
man,
I had to smile.
Yeah, I felt there are sometimes I remember going out to the dining room and you seeing you talking to some people and then you come into the kitchen like, man, fuck those guys.
Yeah, that's how it is. It'd be like I got a smile on their face just to get them to fuck out the door,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah,
behind
sure.
doors
I'll
is
go ahead
like,
and
yeah, let me
comp
go
your
talk shit.
meal. Yeah, for
Whatever.
sure.
It's like it's on the company dollar. It's not on me. It's whatever. But
That's what it's about.
going to all of that, you said you had children, and it changed you with different things like that. I was actually listening to like a radio show today, and it had like a clip of a dad having an issue with the school. Pretty much one of his children was getting bullied, and he was notified about it. So when he was notified about it, he went to the school bus and pretty much spazzed on all the kids. He didn't know who the kid was, but he was saying like he followed up with the school, he followed up with the person's parents, and like nothing changed. So he was just like he did what he thought was right. But it was just
Yeah,
like I just want to know like as a dad like if one of your children came to you saying they was being bullied at school or was getting beat up at school, like what would your first reaction be?
that's hard because you're pissed. You want to make sure your kids are taken care of. Um, I think also you want to make sure your kids. I don't know. I don't think you want to instill that mentality for them growing up that daddy and mommy is always going to be there to take care of them. At some point, they're going to have to stand up for themselves. So I think it's important that you just teach them, hey, don't react because it's just a bully. You're gonna throughout life, people are gonna say things and do things to you, and there's always gonna be haters no matter what you do. And the more successful you are in life, the more haters you're gonna have, which is not a super easy thing for a 3 or 4 year 8-year old to understand. But I guess you talk to the school and you try to talk to the parents, and I guess that's what I would keep doing because I don't know. I feel like embarrassing him in front of all his peers and all his classmates isn't going to help things really. Because then it
I
comes to the other people are like, oh, is Daddy going to come and save you this time? Is Daddy going to come stand up for you? And at some point, you got to have them fight their own battles. Um, but that's a tough one. That's a hard line you got to really kind of work on.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I can get both sides of it because how he was saying it is like, say your kid come off the bus and said that they would just jumped on the bus. Like your first reaction is going to be like, I got to protect my child.
Yeah,
So
for
he was just
sure.
like that was his first reaction, and he said it happened. It kept happening and happening, and it built up. And now he said he do feel sorry for it, but he was like, "What do you do when like your daughter
Yeah.
is like literally scared every day?"
Oh, for sure. Now that's yeah. I've got two little girls, and so I guess what I was thinking of was my boy, and then that's but it's definitely did it different when girls are involved when it's your baby girl, because that you go into daddy mode, and I can definitely see you kind of just overreacting and saying some shit and just kind of being a little crazy. Uh, I would say definitely I'd want them to kind of learn how to fight their own battles. Just tell them physical. When it gets physical, I think that becomes a little bit more than bullying. I mean, that's assault, and I mean things have to. At some point, you've got to intervene, and if things aren't changing, I don't know if you get the police to be involved or if
I
I
was
mean what's
thinking that
going on.
like what do you do? Do you call a police on a 9-year-old? Like, hey, these 9-year
Yeah,
olds is bullying. Yeah,
I mean maybe they need to get scared straight or whatever. They need to come to the house. I don't know because if
yeah.
if consequences aren't being held, I mean if you don't have any sort of standards for consequences at the school or at home, then I mean something's got to happen because then on the other side of things, you're teaching this other kid that they can do whatever they want and there won't be any consequences for their actions. Uh, so it's almost like you're really doing that kid a service by making sure that they know that they can't get away with everything they do and say, um, because later in life, continuing to do stuff like that is going to have certain effects. I mean, you just go into the last 20 years of what cyberbullying has done and the suicides that have come from cyberbullying, and those are just words and mean words. But yeah, once you get into physical assault, I think that's when things really have to kind of, you know,
Would you
they
rather
they got
have
to get
been a
handled.
Would you rather have been a kid now growing up or been a kid when you was? Do you think like the bullying is worse now than when you was a kid?
Um, I think that there are more avenues for bullying now. Absolutely. Uh, do I think that if one of my kids is a homosexual, do I feel like there's more protection for them or more understanding now? Yeah, I think that there's more understanding for mental health now than there was when I was growing up, and just people being different in general. Do I think that? But yeah, I think that there's always going to be a bad apple. There's always going to be a bully who's, no matter how understanding the world might be now, um, there's always going to be someone to say some mean shit to you. Um, so I
And it
think I would
always,
rather I enjoyed I it's hard to look back on the way I was raised and the times that I grew up in, and say I wouldn't rather. I enjoyed it because I did. I think if I had to choose, I would live the way I did because I really I can't imagine these kids now. I mean, they have everything at their fingertips whenever they want. And my son wants to be a YouTuber. Like, that's his dream. He wants to grow up and be a YouTuber. And like I tell him, like, you gotta learn how to take criticism because you gotta learn how to, like, react to negative comments or not react. Just ignore them. And he's not good at ignoring things. So it's a weird world, and it's something that's so hard to compare to because I grew up in the '90s and early 2000s, and this world is so different than even what you grew up in. Because we're not that far apart in age, and you grew up though in New Jersey in much more populated area than I did.
yeah. To me, it's do I think bullying
Listen,
is worse now? I guess you could say that because it's more avenues. But back in the day when I was growing up, it's like you really had to face it. Like there was no
yeah,
way you could kind of like avoid it.
no,
It was kind of like you had to like take it. That's why to me it was interesting growing up because I faced a lot of adversity when it came to like bullying and
yeah,
sticking up for myself in elementary school and middle school. But by the time high school came around, everybody was already over it. Like everybody got out
yeah,
when they was younger, so it was like it was already over. And now I
yeah,
feel like we're all at the age where it's like we look back on some things like, wow, that was like so immature of us. Whereas
yeah,
like now, I just feel like I don't want to say this generation is getting a little bit softer, but I feel like I want to let my kids know like the internet is fake. Like this is not real life. Like
right,
I want you to
right,
have
and
a real experience.
yeah, for sure. My son, he is constantly on his Oculus VR. Like, that is what he spends like maybe 3 hours a day on, and he talks to people from all over the world that are his buddies and stuff, and they are. I mean, he's definitely a little gamer nerd, but he talks shit with the best of them, and I'm always like, hey man, you don't know these people. Like, man, some of these people might get a little weird and angry, and they might look up your IP address and then SWAT team our house or something. You gotta be careful. Um, but
Yeah.
uh, but it's definitely an interesting new world that we live in that my kids are growing up in. But I do look. It's I think that schools protect against bullying now better than they did when we were growing up. You did have to face it when you were growing up because I mean there were sometimes I remember growing up that the teachers were in on the bullying. That sometimes
Uh-huh.
there was some weird kid and he just didn't get along with others, or there was just something going on in his life that nobody knew about. Maybe his parents were getting divorced and mom wasn't being nice or dad wasn't, whatever it was. And sometimes the teachers would get involved, and they weren't the nicest teachers, and I guess you just don't really see that a whole lot anymore. I think now there's a pretty good standard for everything, and even then, it's hard to keep anything secret anymore because everything you do or say, some student in the classroom could be videoing it on their cell phone. Some student could be. I mean, it can go viral like that, and so I think there's a good. I hate this cancel culture, but people seem to be pretty quick to cancel bullies anymore. So I
I
kind of
think
look
the world
at
need bullies. Crazy as it sounds, I think the world need bullies. Like
it
crazy as it
does
sounds.
because you're gonna deal with it in your life. You're gonna deal with it if it's a coworker, if it's your manager, if it's just if it's your ex-wife. I mean, whatever it is, you're gonna have somebody who's just being mean to you for no reason, and you just gotta either like deal with it, move on, or just learn how to react properly because life's not easy and life's not always nice.
Exactly. Well, speaking about a different world. So speaking about a different world, I know you see this whole Marvel Phase 4 thing.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of pandering to women. I'm just gonna call it as it is. I personally think it's a lot of pandering to women, and I think it started from the whole end game thing when the whole woman came together. I think that kind of gave like a whole precursor to what's going on. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see Thor: Love and War. I'm personally against Love and Thunder. I'm personally against just seeing a female Thor. I don't know whether that make me sexist or not, or maybe like my dad, because it's so funny. Because like growing up, I remember I used to watch like the Hulk and Superman, and my dad used to be like, "Yo, they're butchering my superheroes." I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "They're doing so many changes. Like this is not how they were when I was growing up." And at the time, I was just like, "Man, like you just need to get with the times." But now that I'm getting older, I'm seeing all these changes happen, and I'm just like, "This is not what I grew up on." Like I want to grow up on my nostalgia, and I feel like they're trying to go to like, you know, a new day and age, but I feel like instead of you making famous male heroes into kind of like women characters, just make strong women characters. Like there are strong women characters out there, like Miss Marvel and different things like that. Like I don't mind seeing things like that, but just to see like a female Black Panther or a female Thor, to me it's just like, what's going on? Like, but how do you feel about all of this?
So I've always kind of been of the thought. I'm back and forth because I grew up a huge Marvel Comics nerd. I just sold my Daredevil comic book set on eBay not too long ago, and I had every comic from '98 to 2012 of Daredevil. I've got every comic of favorite.
That's my dad's favorite superhero.
It's good. I've got every Avengers comic from 1998 to 2014. So I'm a big fan. I love the movies. So the Mighty Thor, which is the Jane Foster Thor, that came out as a comic book in like 2013, 2014. But for me, as a father of daughters, I like that there are more female superheroes that they can look up to, and they can enjoy, because it was kind of, it was overloaded with dicks for a long time, and it had been outside of like, you know, the Invisible Woman, which is like, you don't want to teach your daughters to grow up and be invisible, and then you have Storm, and you had some
Jean
really
Grey,
strong, powerful. Jean Grey, the Phoenix is probably, and the Scarlet Witch also is one of the most popular, or the most powerful Marvel heroes there is. But I think at some point, you don't want, you know, the crazy ass Wanda Maximoff to be like your role model for little girls. Like grow up. She's probably a Scorpio, honestly, but like grow up and like just be crazy and treat people like however you like. Just act emotionally all the time. I like She-Hulk a lot. I think it's a good show.
They got She-Hulk twerking. Come on, man.
Hey, but it's Megan Thee Stallion.
Come on.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it regardless. They like Cardi B. And Megan Thee Stallion. They're gonna hear it.
I saw a comment that said they was like, I'm shocked that I'm seeing guys complaining about twerking. They're like, what are you gay? I'm just like, no. I was just like, you know, maybe Megan Thee Stallion could do more than twerking.
Yeah.
Teach her how to rap or something.
She can't though.
How long was that scene? How long was her cameo? 10 seconds and just twerking?
Hey,
I don't know.
I ain't mad at it, man.
I wasn't mad at it either though. But I'm just saying, you know, if you want to do a female character, just keep them strong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to me, there are a lot of like.
So with this female Black Panther coming up, because I'm sure Shuri, his sister, is going to be the Black Panther. That's just that is in the comics that she eventually becomes the Black Panther when T'Challa dies. But obviously, if what's his name, Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. If Chadwick Boseman didn't pass away, this wouldn't even be an issue because he'd still be playing Black Panther.
Man, I heard Killmonger might come back. I heard Shuri might have like a cameo where she might be like, I'm a Black Panther for a second, but
Yeah,
somehow Killmonger might come back. Would you want to see that? Would that excite you?
I like Michael B. Jordan a lot as an actor. I think that's kind of a cop out though, for the storyline. I think it's kind of like I like Michael B. Jordan. I like Killmonger. I think that I would almost rather see M'Baku, the guy, the gorilla guy.
Yeah.
I would almost rather see him. Uh, I just think that the way Disney is going and Marvel is going, that it's gonna be Shuri. Um,
My question is, how is it going to be Shuri? I could have swore Killmonger like destroyed the whole flower of the Black Panther orb before he
right,
like
that's a good point.
took over. You know what I'm saying? So it
That's
was
a
like,
good point.
how is she
Yeah,
going to
he
do it?
burnt all the purple flowers. That's a good point. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a technology thing, because obviously, so in the movie, Riri Williams, uh, who is Ironheart, she's going to be taking over Ironheart, which is the mentee of Iron Man. She is supposed to be in the
And
movie, so
real
I
real
think there
quick,
might be some
I don't like how
technology.
Iron Man is just the quintessential father figure for everybody. So he the father figure for Spider Man, for
Yeah.
Ironheart. This man is an alcoholic, a womanizer. He is the worst example of a parental guardian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, so he's dead. So I think that I
Yeah.
think she's not gonna be she in the comic book she's the mentee of Iron Man. I don't know so much this is gonna be the case in the movie because what he dead. He ain't around. It's been a thing for a minute. So I'm kind of interested to see. I always love like the dynamics, the different dynamics between the comic books and the movies because they aren't very similar at all. And this is a but it's fun that I mean they're obviously Disney ties and they make it for families and I mean that's enjoyable just because I get to do it with my kids. But it's kind of an interesting little differentials between like how like well you know what this is how it's done in the comics but we don't have to do it that way as long as we get the costume and the name right. I mean who cares? So I think that they do use a little bit of information but it's very loose. Actually, Love and Thunder was pretty close to how they did a big chunk of that comic storyline. So I really
Do
like
you think
that.
it's worth the watch?
Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It comes out on Disney Plus on the 8th, so in 3 days it'll be on Disney Plus, and I'm sure we'll watch it a few times. I just
Okay.
think
Okay.
I love Taika Waititi. I think he does good things. It's funny. It's not something you need to take too serious. It's I'll help you in a minute, baby. It's nothing you need to take too seriously. It's just a lighthearted Thor movie. Um, I love that the little girl who eventually becomes his adoptive daughter, spoiler alert, is actually Chris Hemsworth's real life daughter. So that was kind of fun to see that family dynamic there, and hopefully that she has a long uh, time tenure working with Marvel in the future as well. So I think that I like that. I like a lot of what Kevin Feige does with Marvel, and just the way he sets it up for the future. And they plan everything they do.
So speaking about the future, so Phase Four is real heavy onto different dimensions, different parallel universes.
Hmm.
And I remember one time, it was like a few years back when I was in college, I saw something on YouTube where it was saying that most films are based off of things that, the government and us humans are already doing like decades beforehand. So do you believe in like different parallel universes, like, alternate realities?
I have to, man. I have to because I'm a middle income person right now, so I like to think that somewhere in another parallel universe, I'm really living up my best life. And at some point as a when I was in Chicago, I'd like to think some point in another universe I didn't leave Chicago. I made it. I'm a successful actor. I don't have kids, and I'm living it up in L.A. somewhere in another universe right now, just having the time of my life. And so yeah, there has to be a parallel universe. Otherwise, like, what am I doing?
I mean, it's interesting to me because it's like when I think of parallel universes, I feel like my concept kind of changed over the years, and it's pretty
Yeah,
much just like
I think
I
it
saw.
definitely. Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely makes every choice you make that much bigger because you're like, oh man, if I don't make the right choice, somebody else in the other universe is gonna have a better life than I am, or whatever.
I, I, I think of it more like this. I don't know what you saw. I reposted something about Childish Gambino the other day, and he was just
Hmm.
saying that with social media, with all these different platforms, you can kind of be whoever you want to be. Like
Yeah. Oh, a thousand
you can
percent.
make it. You can make a burner account and it somehow become popular, and you could become that identity. So he was just
Hmm.
like, everybody has multiple characters. It just depends on what platform you want to put that certain character out on. So when I think of multiple realities, to me is just like, do I think there's another Traven out there, maybe doing better or worse? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do know that there are multiple possibilities of what I could be. I do know there's multiple. I know that there's multiple dominant sides of me that could come out at any different time. So to me, when I think of alternate realities, it just be like it's so crazy because I feel like right now you can be so many different people. You know what I'm saying? Like we have that option to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a giant ass RPG video game where every decision you make affects the rest of your video game. It's like it's Fable. It's Fable 2. Your whole life is Fable 2, and you can either choose to be a villain or a good guy or whatever. But yeah, every day, every reaction you have is definitely could be different, and it could lead to you as a realtor, there are a lot of things in my mind that I don't post on social media because I need to have people like me. And but there are a lot of
I'm
opinions I have about a lot of things that I'm like, you know what? I this is probably just going to be a me thing. This is going to probably just linger in my head for a while, and not everybody needs to know that I think this way. Um, but I'd like to think that somewhere else in some other parallel universe, there's a version of me that says whatever the fuck he wants whenever he wants and is okay with him.
I feel like I feel like I was that version of myself in high school. Like in high school, I don't know. I just had liberty to say what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
I don't know where I came from, but when I went to Missouri, I remember I used to have conversations with different people. They would be like, "Hey, you might want to like tone that down because that kind of come off a little disrespectful." You know what I'm saying? And to
yeah,
me, I think I'm just talking like normal. So like over the years, I kind of had to filter how I talk to make it kind of semi digestible to everybody. So I can't really say exactly what I want to say, but I try to say things to where everybody can kind of understand it. But I missed the days when I was in high school when I could just say whatever came to my mind and didn't care
yeah,
what nobody thought. You know what I'm
yep,
saying?
yep,
Now it's to the point where it's like I don't really care that somebody may disagree with me. I more so care about if I may hurt somebody's feelings. Because I had a situation a few years back where it was like I was in discussion and I was pretty much telling somebody about themselves. I'm thinking I'm just being like honest and just being open,
yeah,
but they really took
right,
it as like, hey, like you hurt my feelings. So that took me
yeah,
to be like, all right, I gotta look back and see how I actually deliver some of the things I say. But
yeah. And some people are just little pansy ass bitches who can't take any like. It's like, look, sometimes do you want me to be honest with you or not? It's like those like
yeah,
that. Obviously, we grew up with American Idol, and there were some like William Hung. How the fuck did he get on American Idol? Because his parents didn't tell him the truth that he couldn't sing. Somebody at some point you got to tell people what's going on with them, or they're going to embarrass
yeah.
themselves on national TV. So it's like, do you want me to be honest with you, or do you want me to just pander to your own little reality that you live in? And I think,
So for the people
yeah,
I really like fuck with, I tell them I'm like whenever they want to ask me something, I'm like, do you want me just to listen or you want me to tell you the truth? Because those
yeah,
are two different things. Like I can
right.
listen to you and let you vent and say what you want to say, or I can kind of let you know what I really think. It might not
Yeah,
be what you want to hear, but something you need to hear.
I think that's the biggest takeaway I got from being married and now being divorced is that people genuinely mostly only want a listener, and they don't want you to tell them how you really feel. They don't really want you to be honest with them, and they don't really want you to have an opinion about their opinions. They just want you to listen to how they feel, and they want to be made. They just want to be listened to overall. I think because I mean there are people just, I think, inherently are narcissistic, and they want to believe that everything they think is right, and they're not really looking for other options. So I think that's my biggest takeaway. At least this is just me growing up in Southeast Missouri. So I would say I think it's hard for me anymore to be 100% genuine with people, because in my mind, when I'm doing that, I am doing them a favor, and I'm like, hey, I just want you to think, I'm just trying to give you assistance. I'm just trying to tell you this is the way you think might come off the wrong way to these people, and I just want you to. But what they're hearing me say is, you're wrong. You need to change the way you believe or change the way you think, and it's kind of it's a fine line that I've been trying to tread lightly for a long time and trying to figure out, because it's it's so it's hard to manage, especially around here in the Bible Belt of the world.
See, for the people I really get along with, I can't sugarcoat anything. Like if I had to
Yeah,
really sugarcoat what I gotta say around you,
yeah,
then I don't really want to be your friend.
right,
But to the people who are my associates, like I sugarcoat it all day if I don't really like if I just see you here and there. But if I really
right,
care about you, like I gotta have that
yeah,
openness, because you gotta at least know somebody in your corner is genuine. You can't have
right,
somebody be a yes man. I don't
yeah,
like being around yes men.
yeah. At some point, it's important that you are true to yourself and you are true to the people you love and care about. Um, I remember growing up uh, in the youth group and in the church and all that. I had several friends who were very fake, very fake. They would, they were this way at church, and then we'd hang out, go out and sneak a few beers or whatever it was, and then their parents would be shocked. But my mom always knew, like, I am who I am, and I never have ever hidden that from anybody. I can do this and I can do that, and I'm not going to be fake. Even when I was at church, people knew, what I believed in, the things I said. But there were lots of times that, like, so and so's parents said I was a bad influence, even though I was like, no, your son is the one who asked me to do this with them. They're fake as fuck with you. I've never been the type to, like, be that fake person,
Yo,
because
so crazy you brought
it's
that
so
up.
exhausting.
Exactly. So crazy you brought that up. So I grew up a Jehovah's Witness kid, a J-Dub kid, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, right? Me and my siblings, we never like conformed to it. We never like we always was like just distant from it. Like I remember I used to fall asleep. And my mom used to hit me all the time. I'm like, Mom, like you forcing me to come here. I'm not going to be somebody different when I come here. And I
Yeah,
remember she always be like, "Oh, you need to be more like so and so or more like so and so." And I'm like, "Do you know so and so was doing drugs? Do
right.
you know so and so was like too much pregnant, about to have a kid next year? Do you know so and so doing this?" And then when all this stuff like come about, she'd be like, "How did this happen?" And literally, she had all the kids who literally didn't do drugs in school, literally got married, had kids that did it the right way, and all the kids who did grow up under it, like single with multiple kids,
Yeah,
deadbeats, different things like that. And to me, it used to be like I used to feel weight when I was a kid, saying like, "Do you not feel like I'm somebody you should be proud of?" You know what I'm saying? Like, because
sure.
I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, and I always felt like I never wanted to be somebody fake or somebody I'm not, so I'm not going to do it. My
Yeah,
dad never went to church with us because he didn't believe in it. So I always had that kind of like duality in me, but I used to feel a strong way being compared as a kid. I used to hate being
yeah.
compared.
You shouldn't be compared as a kid. I mean, no offense to your mom or whatever, but I would say that there's definitely a huge psychology issue in being raised in a church. And I don't think there's anything wrong with raising your children in a church or raising your children in a setting to where there's some sort of morality taught. But I also don't think that, I guess I tend to see the kids who grew up very devout and very involved in the church felt the most pressure growing up, and they seem to be the ones that struggle the most later on in life, just with identity and who they are, and what they believe and what they truly believe, and things like that. Whereas I think going into it, I was always of the mind of, Sure, I believe that Christ died for my sins, and I believe that there's a God. Um, but I'm not going to be someone different on Sunday than I am on Monday, because that's if you believe in God and you believe that He's omnipotent and all knowing and all that, then that's just stupid, because you know He sees you every day of the week. So there's no point in being fake one day and real the other. Be real every day, and I promise you, you're the version of yourself that you're being, you'll love that person and you'll enjoy that person, and other people will too, because people, I think they like real people. They don't want
And
fake people in their lives.
it was so interesting that even as a child, I was cognizant of who was real and who was fake inside the church. Like,
Sure,
I knew
yeah,
that there were certain brothers in the church that was actually real, and I actually was like, you know what? I don't really have this answer for you, young man, but I will study it over the weekend and bring it back to you. I used to respect people like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I'll like me and my sister talk about it. It's just like bad eggs to good eggs. You know what I'm saying? Always more bad eggs than good eggs. And I feel like with Jehovah's Witnesses, like there might be 30% who are like real genuinely nice people that really know the word, but that's 70% that make you feel like you're inadequate for not going towards their belief is what like kills the whole bringing in process. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? The whole bringing in outside guests.
and
So I
you,
can understand when people be saying like it's kind of stressful to be a witness.
yeah, and you guys don't do like birthdays and Christmas and stuff like that, do you? Or is
I
that Mormon?
mean, they don't celebrate holidays.
Yeah,
They don't celebrate no holidays at all. The only thing they do is celebrate the death of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
or how can I say the resurrection of Christ? Pretty
yeah,
much that's what they celebrate. But that's pretty much it. But honestly, I never really been into holidays. But to me, it was just more of the fact where it was just like you're taking me somewhere I'm not comfortable at. You know what I'm saying? Like it
yeah.
would be like Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm in these places with people who I don't want to be around. Like I feel like I'm embarrassing you because like my body language shows I don't want to be here.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And you making me
100%.
feel bad for it. So it's just like you can't put me in an environment I react a certain way and then you get upset by how I react. It's like
Yeah,
what do you want?
especially
And
when
it's
you
funny because
know,
like even
when your parent, when like they know, when you tell them, hey, I'm not gonna have any fun, I'm not gonna be like enjoyable, and they're like, and it's a very toxic relationship. It's like if this was if obviously it's a mother-child relationship, but if this was like a dating relationship, and the boyfriend's like, no, you've got to go with me, and then the whole time she's not having a good time, you're like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Why are you acting like this? You're embarrassing me. You know, that's a relationship that as a human you need to get out of. And I'm not. It's obvious we were younger then, and as parents they feel like they have the authority, and they at the time they probably do, to kind of just tell you what to do. But I don't know, at some point that mindset mentality's got to change. But this was, I
I
mean, these
feel
are
like my
different
mom was just
generations.
lonely.
Yeah,
I feel like my mom was just lonely. I feel like when she was the only one I went into that religion, and I
yeah,
feel like sometimes when you go into something new, you don't want to be by yourself, and
absolutely, yeah,
you feel
absolutely.
like the only person you have control over is your kids. So you're gonna be
Hmm.
like, hey, I want it to be better for you, but
Yeah,
there's a certain way you deliver it.
I get that, because I am super into foreign languages, and I don't have anybody to ever speak it with. So I right now I'm teaching my son, my 7-year old, he's learning French, and my 5-year old, or 6-year old rather, she's turned 6, is learning Mandarin. So it's like I need to have somebody I can practice with, or else what am I doing? So it's like they really don't like, and I'll be like, hey, it's time for your French lesson. He's like, man, I don't want to. I'm like, come on.
That
So like
that
I kind of,
actually is a great subject you just brought up.
yeah.
So you traveled a lot when you was in your early when you was like a teenager, early adult. You traveled a lot.
Yeah, I traveled, but I taught English in China for a little bit when I was 19, and then just been to Mexico and Taiwan, and just kind of a little bit here
So
and there.
is it true that Asian women pussies are sideways?
No, no, no. They're just the way they're supposed to be, and but I will say that it's always it's always funny. I don't want to be too crass, but like they were, of all the women I've ever been with, it's just they're so much wetter. They get a lot wetter, and I don't know that I don't fully understand that, because in my mind I'm like, the wetter you get, there should be a bigger dick involved. And it's always weird because like I had this mentality. I had this mentality that like Asian men aren't as well endowed. You know, they don't have
Mhm.
the bigger dick. So I always thought it was funny that like they've got these little tiny Asian men penises with these super soaker Asian women.
Do you ever
But
watch the Breakfast Club? You ever watched the Breakfast Club before?
yeah, I watched Breakfast Club.
So you know Angela Yee?
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, so she like Asian. She Asian and black though, but it was
Oh,
like a thing with her and
Are we
Gucci
talking
Man.
about the different? We're talking. I'm talking about the Breakfast Club from the 1980s, the movie with.
We
No,
talk about the Black
right,
Breakfast Club. We
right,
talking about a
yeah,
radio
yeah.
show,
See,
a
I'm in
radio
my
show.
30s, and you're, but I,
You're good, man. I'm happy you asked though, cause it would have went left if you would have heard that. But pretty much
yeah,
it was like Gucci Man was on there, and it was like a segment where he was just like, I heard Asian girls get wetter,
yeah,
and she was like, nah, she was like, we don't get wetter, our pussy's just deep, and I'm just like, that's weird, like. It's
yeah,
like Asian women have deep pussies, but the men have like little.
yeah.
How does that work out?
That was my thing. That's what I was wondering too. And obviously, I've never. The thing about Asian porn though is like when you watch it, all the dicks are all blurred out all the time. So it's like you can't really. I don't know. Maybe
Do
they're.
you know why that is? If you've been in that culture, you know why that is?
It's just a culture thing for some reason. Like it's a.
They don't like dicks. They don't like little dicks.
Not, well, they don't like seeing dicks. It's like it's almost homosexual to them. So it's like so it's
Yo,
like
that's crazy.
so they just blur the dicks out. It's just not. I guess it's just such a weird kind of idea that it's like it's okay to see like videos of tits and pussies,
It's
but
overly
like
masculine over there.
yeah, it's very much so. At least in China, Japan's pretty. Yeah, they're pretty. They're all getting better about it. I would say that, but it's just kind of it's a different world.
Could you, out of all the different relationship dynamics and different places that you travel to and live to, who do you think is doing it the best right now when it comes to like, all right, this is what a man's supposed to be. This is what a woman's supposed to be.
That's a good question because I don't know that I'm the authority on what a man should be and what a woman should be, but I will say when I'm looking for my next wife, she will probably be, and I don't want to put the idea in there that I'm looking for a submissive wife because I'm not. I don't want a submissive. I just want someone who brings me peace. I don't want someone who's going to bring chaos into my house and is always going to be complaining and being upset or asking for money or anything like that. I'd say that when I was in China, the women just treated me differently. And it wasn't like this like superiority thing, like they thought that I was better than them or I thought that I was better than them. It was just respect. And because I got that respect for them, I treated them with respect as well. So it was just kind of that finding someone in any relationship, the most important thing is to have people in your life that give you and bring you peace because you don't have there's so much you need to do and so much other chaos in the world. You don't really need to add to it with the wrong person. And so I would say I love Hispanic women. I think they're beautiful, but man, they are spicy. They can be mean. I mean, just have like chocolate. They scare me. I don't want to say the wrong thing and then get hit with the sandal. But I know they'll cook for me. But I don't know. They are. I don't want to say aggressive, but they can be a little. They can be a little aggressive. But they are. It's good if you plan on having a big family because they're good caretakers. But I would say that if I was gonna choose my next wife, I don't know, she'd probably be some sort of Asian.
I feel that, but I kind of see it. This is a little sidebar. It's a girl I know from New Jersey. You know, we interact here and there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I'll be messing with her sometimes, saying like, "You real mean," and she's like, "I'm not really mean like that." So sometimes she be posting things on Facebook, and I be like, "Yo, this is like a clear example of you being, mean." And she was like, I don't want to be mean. She's like, I really want to be soft, but she was like, sometimes it's hard in this environment to be soft. You know what I'm saying? Like some men won't let a woman show her soft side. You know what I'm saying? They want to harden them up. So to me, it's just like there are women out here in America, black, white, whatever, who are caretakers who do want to serve their man, but I feel like we put so much emphasis on a woman who aren't that. You know what I'm saying? Like the bad bitch, the
Yeah.
one that want to get flown out, the one you want to splurge on. Where it's just like no, like there's women who are at home studying for their doctorates,
Yeah.
who are real down to earth.
So I have recently, I got real bored one night and I was on Facebook and I saw a clip of video and I was like, okay, I want to see what this is about. And so I downloaded the Zeus Network. And do you know what the Zeus Network is?
Yeah,
And so
reality TV done right.
yeah, so I got the Zeus Network and I watched like all two seasons of two seasons of oh that is basically it's like The Bachelor. It's the guy from One More Chance. So I watched One More Chance,
Yeah.
and I'm really in love with the what's the girl's name, the Hispanic one. She's like kind of Puerto Rican-ish. She was on both seasons. Man, I say I'm in love with her. If she's watching right now, she knows I'm lying because if I love her, then I know her name. But I kind of, it's easy, like you said, it's easy to kind of to fall for that strong bad bitch, like, man, I want a bad bitch like that who's gonna go up to bat and fight bitches for me, and man, obviously I'm just watching the wrong TV. But like I said, it's good to have someone who comes into your home and just brings peace to it, and that's what I want. If and when I do ever decide to be in a relationship again, there are lots of times when I see women on Facebook that I'm like, I don't think she's attractive, I might pursue that. But then like there's a bunch of shit talking, shit posts on her Facebook, and I know her best friend's trouble, and so I'm like, man, this is not something I can see turning into something happy. The thing you realize, the thing I think I like the most about a lot of the Asian women that I've spoken to, or I've got some pen pals, but is that they're not really on social media, and so I think that's a big thing in any relationship, that social media just kind of really does a number on relationships. It really kind of hurts relationships because I think one of the biggest problems.
I think it brings doubt.
One of the biggest problems in my marriage was, my ex-wife would always complain that I didn't tag her enough posts, and I get that. I mean, I get that she wanted some sort of validation, but at the same time, like, why is that necessary?
Why is that?
My dad. Well, I don't want to say that. My dad and my mom have been divorced for 20 years. I want to say my dad never posted my mom any Facebook posts. My grandparents have been married for 60 years and they don't even have Facebook. I'm just saying sometimes or there would be sometimes that some girl would like my post and she's like, "Who's this bitch?" And I'm like, "She's nobody. She liked my fucking post. Like, chill, woman. Like, it ain't a thing." And so I don't know. Or you like somebody's post and they're like, "Why'd you like that post? You want to fuck her?" I'm like, I mean, if it came
Maybe.
up, if it came up, I'll invite you first. Like, it'll be like a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's relationships are weird and scary, and after a divorce, it's something you don't really want to involve yourself in again for a long time. Plus, I got 3 kids. But I think the big thing.
Do you think dating's harder right now with 3 kids?
I think dating is harder.
Girls be like.
I think dating right now is harder. Period. Like in 2022, dating right now is not like it used to be. I mean, as somebody I used to own a bar, and whenever Tinder and all that stuff came out, people weren't going to bars anymore to hook up or to meet or have dates because they were meeting online on Tinder or whatever, and then showing up to somebody's house and just hooking up. It's a very much hey, I'm not dogging it. I'm just saying it's a hookup mentality anymore, to where it's not like it was in 2006, 2007. I mean, I was only a teenager, but where you'd call and talk on the phone for a couple hours, and then you'd meet up and have dinner, and you'd really kind of build a relationship and get to know each other. Or just 2022 is fucking, it sucks, man. And dating is weird, and especially now in my 30s with 3 kids, where the women that I do talk to, they also have kids, or they don't have kids, and I'm at that point where if I date, and I won't, because it's like, I don't want to date a woman with kids because I have kids and I don't want to do the step thing. I don't want to do the step kid thing again because I don't have any. I don't really get to see my who was my stepdaughter before, and it hurts losing your step kid when they've been a part of your life for so long. Plus, as a realtor, I know how much houses cost, and most women my age have like 3 or 4 kids. So that means we need a 5 or 6 bedroom house, and I know how much that fucking costs, and I'm not even going there. Or you have women who don't have kids, and they might want another kid, but you don't want another kid because it's like I don't want to add on to that. So now you feel like you're taking that away from her, or she doesn't want, or she doesn't understand what it's like. And she, because I think when you're starting dating and you are dating someone, you need to really put that person as a priority. And if you don't have the time and energy to make that person your priority, then I feel like that whole relationship's gonna die anyway. So there's no point in even doing it. So I guess right now I've just got a very pessimistic view on dating right now because I don't want to waste anybody's time and I don't want to waste my own time. Um, and it's not just with time in general with kids. It's just I feel like you should, as a parent, you definitely need to have your own thing that you do, but your kids have to be your priority and making sure they're happy and taken care of. Uh, so it's just finding that line. But I think it becomes easier as you get older to find red flags and identify those and say, okay, well, I know that people at this age generally they're set in their ways, and I'm not going to be the person who tries to goes into a relationship trying to change that person or hoping that um, the thing I don't like about them changes over time because it's not going to happen and we're both going to end up upset with each other. Um, but I think just knowing and appreciating where you are and who you are and not settling and not saying, okay, well, this thing that they do really bothers me, but I'm just going to go forward with it anyway. I think that's a big no-no because that thing that really bothers you is always going to bother you. And at some point, you're going to get pissed off at each other and say something. You're like, well, I fucking hate it when you do this. And she's like, well, you never said that before. And then it becomes a whole thing. So I think that if obviously there's never going to be someone who's just perfect and that there's nothing they do or don't do that doesn't bother you. There's always going to be something. But I think you got to respect yourself going into a relationship saying, if this bothers me and this is a deal breaker, you've got to respect that deal breaker because it's not going to change. But yeah,
Exactly.
to answer your question, yeah, it is harder dating now in my 30s with 3 kids. Absolutely.
I got you. All right, so one more topic, and we can end it today. Is a subject that I don't know whether it affects you or not, but one of my friends wanted me to talk about it. But did you go to college?
Yeah.
All right, so I know you know about the whole Biden student relief fund thing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel like the 10,000 going to do justice? Do it apply to you? How do you feel about that whole procedure?
So the $10,000 that they're taking off of your student loans, I think
Mhm.
that's so for people like us who went to SEMO, 10,000 is a pretty big chunk of our student loans because SEMO was pretty cheap. And I don't know if you had like student athlete scholarship or anything like that, um, but
I
it's
about to
not.
say my views kind of my view kind of scared. 'Cause I was on full scholarship,
Yeah,
so I want to hear like your opinion. Then I'm gonna get my opinion.
I think I owe like maybe $30,000 in student loans. So 10 grand that takes like a third of my student loans. That's cool. But there are people who went to USC, people who went to University of Oregon, people who went to um, Cal, LSU, Alabama, who paid maybe $120,000 in student loans. You know what I mean? So 10 grand is just nothing. It's really a drop in the bucket. Um, so I think that where does that money come from? I don't know. I don't know who's ultimately going to pay it. Taxpayers. I mean, the money isn't just made up out of nothing. I mean, you look at what happened in 2020 and 2021 with all the COVID relief and all the help from there, and now we're in one of the worst economic states we've been in a long time. You can't just keep giving money away. I think if there was a system in place that kind of made education more affordable, that is the better option. Um, will I say no to it? If Joe Biden offers to take $10,000 of my student loans away from me, no, I won't say no. But that's because I am selfish and I'm greedy and I want someone to pay for my student loans for me. But I don't know who's paying for it. I don't know enough about it to say that it's a good or a bad thing. I know that ultimately, if you are taking money away from the student loan companies, then they might be hesitant to keep giving out student loans. If I was a student loan company and I said this, all these people who are getting these student loans now, we are out of millions of dollars that we were supposed to be getting. What's keeping me from just not giving out these large student loans anymore? And now you have after that, now you have people who definitely can't afford to go to college. So it's a tricky situation all around because somebody's got to pay for it. Companies who are giving these loans away are now losing money because of it. But also, there are people who went to these large colleges who are finding it very difficult to buy houses, buy cars, whatever, because they have this huge, huge student debt that they're having to pay.
Or they have a degree that's a paperweight.
Most people definitely do not use the degree they got going into the future. Like they'll get a degree because, in my opinion, you don't know what the fuck you want to do with your life at 18. You don't know what you want to do with your life at 22. So, I mean, it's silly, this cultural pressure that we put on students coming out of high school to choose a college, choose a career, and go forward, because you don't know. I definitely encourage gap years. I encourage multiple gap years because until you've experienced the world as an adult and not a high school student, you really have no idea what you want to do with your life and who you want to be. And now you're $100,000 into an education that you're never going to use. So it's scary. And I hope that by the time my kids are in school, I don't know. I would encourage them. I think one of the big reasons I want to encourage them to learn other languages is because there are countries out there who offer free education. So if Aurora can learn Chinese or French or whatever, and she can go to a college in France for free and get an education out there, then I mean that's definitely, and not only an education but a cultural experience that will expand her worldview. Then that's the way I want them to live, because I don't know. I don't think that. I mean, what did you do your first 2 years of college? You partied and I mean you go to parties and as a football player, I don't know what you do. I mean, I'm sure you have a strict schedule, strict regimen, what you're supposed to be doing. But as an athlete, from athletes that I knew, they didn't care about. They wanted to get just good enough grades to be able to keep playing their sport.
So this is what I say about this, because my view is a little bit jaded,
Sure.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I personally don't like. I feel like if it does happen for people it does go to, that's great. But personally, do I feel like people deserve it? No.
Sure.
And people that do have these $100,000 debt loans, I don't feel no bad for you, because it's like you chose to go to that school.
Right.
It's interesting to me because I had two older sisters growing up, so I kind of seen how the college system like fucked them up financially. And I literally had my mom tell me my freshman year, like, hey, I'm not paying for your college. You should think about doing community college or maybe going to like church school or something like that. And I told her, I looked in her face, I was like, Mom, I'm finna do football and it's going to pay my way through school.
Yeah.
And that's a different type of pressure when you feel like, all right, I know the only way I can get this degree is if I play football. And the only reason I wanted to get a degree at the time because I felt like that's what you was supposed to do. Like in certain I was raised in the suburbs, so to me it was just like you're supposed to go to high school, you're supposed to go to college. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not something I wanted to do. I thought that's just what I had to do as a growing adult. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I will say in college, it's such a double stigma because it's like I feel like student athletes, not unless you go to like Alabama or some like crazy ass school that wins all the time. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. Of course, you're going to have moments, high moments where you have fun, this, that, and the third. But we have practice, weights,
Yeah.
training from 6 a.m. No, my bad. We had weights in the morning from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Classes from 7 to 2. Practice from 3 to 7. Study hall from 7 to 8. There were athletes who did go out and have fun, but most of them
Yeah.
either didn't play
Right.
or they didn't stay around for long. They was there for a year or two and flunked out. I know so many great athletes that just flunked out because they went to a high school where the teacher just gave them grades
Right.
and was like, all right, they're a star athlete. We give them grades. They're good. And then went to college and they were just like, there were teachers that was like, oh, y'all athletes? Oh, we're harder on y'all.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all think it's going to be easy? No, we won't take it harder for you guys. And for me, it was like so many summers I sacrificed away from my family. So many like times where I couldn't go home. So many points where I wanted just to quit, but I didn't want to be a quitter.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I had to stick in it. But I had to stick in it because I wanted a degree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me to hear that some people want like all of their student loans to be forgiven, and just like no, like what do you sacrifice? Because those same kids who were saying that were the same ones out at Thirsty Thursdays at your bar,
Right.
out on Tuesdays. I didn't even know people were drunk on Tuesdays. I went to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I was just like, I can't. I can go out Saturday night after the game,
Right.
but I don't want to. I don't want to deal with Monday practice after Sunday night.
Right.
So there are people who do it, but for me, I feel like I kept my head down because I knew I couldn't do all of that. Some athletes can, I just couldn't do it. So from my point of view, it's just like, hey, for people who are complaining, just be happy you're getting something because really, you don't deserve anything, in my opinion.
Well, and the thing is, if they've been on 0% interest for the last 2 years, you know what I mean? It's been, if you were paying and you're still paying, at the end of the day, you signed a document saying, I will repay this loan. And I get that it's a different world with, federal student loans and all that. But I will say, from a house selling standpoint, that now with the FHA, if you want to get an FHA loan, they only count 0.5% of your total student loans against your debt whenever you're buying a new house. So if you owe $50,000, they only count whatever, what is 0.5%, 500, 250. They only count $250 per month against your debt with your student loans. So is it a big problem with buying houses? No, the student loan doesn't really affect your house a whole lot. But yeah, if you sign a document saying that I plan on repaying these loans, and then you don't follow through with those loans to finish your degree, or you do finish your degree and you just didn't like what you got, yeah, I don't necessarily feel sorry for everybody who's like complaining about their student loans, because yeah, you're right. You do choose the school you go to. You don't just draw out of a hat and that's the school you go to. You definitely do get to pick. I guess in some situations it's more geographical. Not everybody goes from New Jersey to Southeast Missouri. Some people are stuck in Missouri or Mississippi or wherever they go to, and they go because it's a legacy thing, and that's where their parents went. And there are a lot of social pressures with just going to college.
A lot of thick white women in Missouri. Keep going.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of thick everywhere. Everybody's thick here. We all thick. 3 C's. But it's definitely I have mixed views on the subject because A, I am one of those people who would like a chunk of my student loans paid off, but B, I don't think it's super practical, and I don't believe that it's completely fair and unbiased. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know where they get off thinking that I get, like I said, I get the idea of saying, okay, going forward in the future, we will find a way to make education more affordable. I'm okay with that. But I think saying, what about the people who went to college and they got the degree they wanted and they had $45,000 of student loans and they worked hard and they paid it off? Where does that $10,000 today now get a $10,000 check? Do they get do they get punished for being responsible and paying for the student loans when they didn't have to? You know, do these people who have never made a single payment on their student loans, they're the ones getting rewarded? Uh, so it's kind of a finicky situation where I can see both sides of the matter, but it's definitely at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily help anybody, because it doesn't really affect your credit that much. It doesn't really affect your debt to income ratio that much. It's just there. It's just there on Credit Karma or wherever you check your credit. It's just there. It says you owe this much, and and you don't have to pay it. I mean, you just it's there. They can't take your education away. You know what I mean? They can't put it in. They don't put it into any sort of whatever the word is, when they a collection, they don't put it in collections. It's just always there. The U.S. Department of Education will always have your student loans under their, or unless you go to a private bank and you get it privatized. But I mean, for the most part, people have their. We're not even talking about those because these student loans are federal student loans that are getting paid off, and those are just going to always be there. And like I said, they don't affect your credit. They don't affect your ability. They don't really affect your debt to income ratio, but it just looks bad, and it looks bad on yourself. But even if you keep paying it, and you pay the whatever the payment is with the interest, it's still there because it's such a big number. I mean, there's no term. These loans are so crazy because there's no term. There's no interest rate. I mean, there's no real. They could say, okay, well, we've got 30 years that you can pay this off, but no one ever does it. I mean, it usually takes 40 to 50 years. They're always going to be lingering there in the background. But I don't know. You don't have to pay it back. That's what I tell people. Why are you even worrying about this? I mean, I get that like they can maybe take it out of your income or your tax return or whatever, but they don't because they want you to build interest on it. They want it to be more because then they can get it later, but they don't ever get it later on. These student loans are the biggest, like craziest jokes I've ever seen because there's no real rules to them, and there's no.
It's like they said the U.S. is like at like 2 trillion or something like that.
Yeah,
A student loan debt.
yeah, guarantee it. Because I mean, if you think of the thousands and thousands of people who've gone to college, the thousands. Let's just take like just USC alone, because USC is like 50 grand a semester. So in 4 years, you're paying like $250,000-$300,000, and I think they don't really go by semesters; they go by quarters because it's a California thing or it's a West Coast thing. It's really weird, but I mean, you're talking a $200,000 education at USC. That's why they call it the University of Spoiled Children, because you got to have money to go there. Nobody really go. I mean, I guess there are some kids who get in because their parents are famous or whatever, but at the end of the day, they're getting their money, and they don't care who's paying them. I mean, they don't care if the federal government's paying them, what bank or whoever's paying them. They just want their money, and that's the biggest problem. Is not the student loans. It's the bureaucracy and the money mongering of these colleges. Because, man, as a sports management major, I don't know why the fuck I was taking some of the classes I was taking. Why do I gotta take Chinese history? I liked it, but I mean, why am I paying $500 for a Chinese history class to be a sports management major? Why am I taking? I mean, there are lots of classes like that where I was like, this doesn't make sense. Especially your freshman year, they stack you up with so many just like beginners classes, like welcome to college. Like I've been to school before, I know how. I mean, I know what I'm doing. So I don't
The
know.
art of dance.
Yeah,
Like, why don't you learn the art of dance for? Like,
yeah. I mean, maybe like you as
crazy.
an offensive lineman, it could have been beneficial, but on the field, using those.
No, I didn't imply shit. I didn't imply nothing. I got like a smooth 75, which made me feel bad about it.
Yeah,
But it's getting.
I got like I had college algebra. I was like, I just need to get a C to pass because I just wanted to get. I had like a 70.1, whatever. Just barely got through. It was like, good deal. C's get degrees. I'm cool with it. But at the same time, it's like there's sometimes I remember being in college thinking, why am I doing this class? Why do I need this class going forward? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then the obvious answer is that the university just wants your money because that's all a liberal arts degree is it's just how much money you're willing to pay to tell people you learn things.
Did you ever have a teacher tell you that college is scam before, like in college? You ever have one of those teachers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I had an English teacher like that.
I had a U.S. politics teacher. He was just like, honestly, a lot of y'all here just to become good citizens. He was like, this is not here to make y'all better.
Yeah.
He was like, this is only here to make you guys puppets for the system.
Yep.
And I was just like, damn, like he just said it so abrupt out of nowhere, and I was just like, yo, I'm like, I guess you're right.
Yeah. It's one of those things where at least now there are more trade schools out there, and they're growing trade schools, so it's making it a little bit easier for some. But the problem is it's a vicious circle, and you know this, is that when you graduate college, you have to have experience to get a job. But the job requires you to have a degree and experience, but it's like you don't have both. I've been too busy trying to get my degree. I haven't been working, so now I can't really get a job. So even then, it usually takes 3 to 4 years to really get a decent job to start paying on those student loans outside of just living. So it's hard out there because you just kind of you go in straight into adulthood with massive debt, and it's just I don't know. It's a crazy system, but it's a system that makes the higher ups a lot of money, and that's at the end of the day what matters.
All right, it's getting late, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. What
is there anything if anything you want to promote, any tags you want to put out right now?
Not exactly. No, I wouldn't say so. I will say go Rams. We play Thursday night against the Bills, so I'm excited to sit home and with some chicken wings and a couple maybe natty lights and sit back and watch the Rams play. I am gonna fly out to LA next month to watch them play against the Panthers. SoFi is beautiful, and I'm excited. I feel bad for you being an Eagles fan down in Dallas. I can't imagine that's very easy.
I love it. I be telling them to suck it all the time.
Yeah, I think this year you guys have a good chance at.
We have the best chance at all. I feel like out of all the out of everybody.
Oh, well, I mean,
East right now,
lucky for you guys are in the NFC East, and you just got like the Giants,
I ain't
and the Commanders. But it's gonna be. I think. Jalen Hurts has got AJ Brown and I mean Devontae Smith. So I think you guys have got a pretty decent little crew. I think you guys might do some damage.
It's going to be an interesting year. But all right, y'all. It's your boy Trader Realist. Please follow me on all my social media platforms at RAC_podcast. Please donate to my Patreon, patreon.com/RAC podcast. That goes to everything you see right now. Things getting better. Or you can just cash at me at Cash App at the Cashable Trader Mabel. Whatever easiest for you. I'm trying to, put out some more videos for you guys, give out better content. So please just stick with this journey with me. I appreciate everything. If you are watching this, please like, subscribe, comment. 3 seconds to you is the world to me, and I really do appreciate it. So if you have anything out there that you want me to promote, reach out to me. I can do that for you. And just remember, just remember to love your loved ones and always be real. It's your boy Trader Realist. Peace.